I'm Matt Stewart and I'm at Buckley's Falls, named for old William Buckley, who spent a lot of time around these parts when he was in the wilderness, as we retrace his steps around Port Phillip Bay, stopping in at as many craft beer breweries as we can. We've still got a little way to go. Welcome to the Beer Pioneer.
He's out there, somewhere, crossing country, north to south, east to west, following rainbows for the liquid pot of gold. The man is amber obsessed. He's conquering fears, drinking boutique beers, just for you and me. He's a man on a mission, a liquid dietitian, a bearded brewery magician. Ah, he's the beer pioneer. He is the beer pioneer. He's the beer pioneer. He's the admiral of cheer. He's the admiral of cheer. He is the amber cavalier. He's the amber cavalier. And he's the malted musketeer. He's the malted musketeer. He is the bevvy buccaneer. He's the bevvy buccaneer. Oh yes, he is the beer pioneer. Oh yes, he is.
It's not really clear why these falls are named after William Buckley, other than the fact he possibly visited these parts in his 3 decades in the Australian bush. It's only a short drive from Buckley's Falls to our next stop, the Valhalla Taproom in Geelong, and a little later it's off to the banks of the mighty Barwon River, where I'll be pretending to try to catch a fish or two with cricketing icon Merv Hughes.
Oh, that's Mayor's office right there.
But first, I'm in downtown Geelong, checking out a local brewery that punches far above its weight. Well, time to warm up for another early morning beer and interview session. It's a tough life.
We're here at the Valhalla Taproom in Geelong and I'm talking to the boss here, Scott. Hey Scott, how's it going?
Yeah, good, thanks, Matt.
So good to be here in your tap room. How did it all kick off for you?
So we started in 2016. I've been a home brewer for many years and was looking for something a little bit more creative, a little bit more fun.
You started in a bit of a different way. You used some crowd funding as well?
Yeah, so the Obsidian Black IPA was the first beer we went commercially with, and we raised $5,000 for our first crowdfunding campaign, and that gave us enough to launch Valhalla and create a first batch of Obsidian Black IPA, yeah.
And it's kind of an interesting beer to be your hero beer or your...
Our flagship beer.
Flagship beer, thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
But you know, most breweries' flagship beer won't be a darker beer.
No, it'll probably be a pale ale or an IPA or something. I thought let's do something we want to do, not something we're driven commercially to do, so...
The secret to your success maybe is you did it for the love.
We found this place in Geelong and loved it, loved the location, loved the street. Got a wine bar 2 doors down. We've got the tea and restaurant next to us, and it's just got a really good feel with the graffiti on the walls. And yeah,
Beyonce on the side wall over
here. That one was here when we got here, but there's some good graffiti along the street as well. So it's just got a good sort of almost Melbourne sort of vibe to it, you know.
And Valhalla, where did you come up with that as the name?
I'd been interested in mythology since uni days, you know, so Vikings believed that if they died gloriously in battle, they'd get invited to Odin's Hall, Valhalla, and they'd spend the rest of eternity there drinking and eating and hanging out with their mates, basically.
Amazing idea of heaven.
Yeah. So
take that over clouds and harps and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. That sounds really boring. Yeah.
Also meant you could put your logo could be a Viking. It's a skull with a Viking helmet. It's pretty sick.
Yeah. Of course, the Vikings never actually wore horns on their helmets, but
has Hollywood lied to me again?
Never let the truth get in the way of a good story, right?
That has hit me for 6.
After looking into setting up a brewery, Scott instead chose to open this tap house and brew using the gypsy brewing method.
Yeah, so gypsy brewer, I'm not even sure if that term's PC anymore, but it basically means we don't own our own stainless steel, so we don't own our own brewery as such. We travel around from brewery to brewery and we pay them to use their brewery and brew our beers on there. So all the recipes are our own. We do a lot of the work ourselves, it's just we don't physically own our own brewery. I've been here in Geelong for 12 years and certainly we've seen a big difference in the last couple of years. Some really good bars and restaurants opening up. I think more people are moving here from Melbourne, which is fantastic, and they're looking for something a little bit more Melbourne-ish, I suppose. So.
Melbourne-ish. We got three record players over there.
And so music's a big part of what we do here. Music's really important. We play only vinyl. We have DJs on Saturday nights and we have metal nights once a month, and so we play heavy metal. We got live music on a Friday night, local solo artists playing in here. We try to keep new beers rotating through the fridge. People always like to come in and see something new. And the fridge is a part of what we did, I guess, to survive through those 2020 shutdowns because we could only open up as a bottle shop for quite a lot of 2020. So,
are you ever tempted to have a little corner for Carlton just so that guy who wanders in goes, I need a Carlton?
We always find a beer that people like. We've got a Kolsch on tap, which we call our Union Street Draft, and usually the people who just want to drink Carlton Draft enjoy that. So we've got 10 taps. We try to have six or so of our own beers on tap at any one time, and then we have between 2 and 4 rotating taps of Australian independent breweries as well.
Not too far from here was where Buckley spent most of his time in the bush. For almost 3 decades, he called the Barwon River system home.
I'm at the Barwon River where old mate William Buckley used to go fishing for eels and other such things, getting himself sustenance in those many years in the wilderness.
With a small log-covered hut, access to plenty of bream in the river, and yam daisy in the ground, it was Buckley's skill of trapping bream and helping feed his adopted tribe that led him to finding a wife. Well, if fish catching skills is what leads to marriage, there's probably a line of prospective brides banging on my door right now. Time to head out on the pier and meet cricketing legend Merv Hughes and his mate Squizz and take it all in.
That's not a bad spot for a fish, the Barwon.
Yeah, it's a great spot. So obviously beach just around the corner, so tidal influence. You'd think there'd be bream, flathead, probably salmon, so Australian salmon. They reckon right time of the year you get the big mulloway jewfish.
Yeah, right. So there's a bit of everything.
Oh, yeah. Sun up, sun down, and on a tidal change is ideal. So you have picked the ideal time, mate. You're a legend.
Yeah, look, I've just got a sort of an innate sense of the fish. Although my rod hasn't done anything so far, but...
I'd be checking your bait if I was you, but you look pretty comfortable there.
Look, I'm here for the relax more than anything, and just to be hanging out with a legend, really.
Yeah, no, Squizzy is a bit of a legend.
Thanks, mate.
How did you
Merv's not bad
Squizzy?
either.
Through the cricket, we used to go up to Darwin a fair bit. Squizzy was tied up with cricket up there and soon found out that we had common interests, like drinking beer and fishing.
It wasn't cricket, was it? I was no good at it.
Yeah. So just every time we went up there, I'd stay an extra 10 days and Squizzy would take us down to a place called Bino Harbour.
Yep.
And we'd fish down there for 10 days and none of this. You just sit in the boat and the fish jump in the boat up there. It was fantastic.
Have you been a fisherman for long?
Love my fishing. My dad was a school teacher, so we moved all over Victoria. So we're up at Euroa, born in Euroa, came down to Werribee. We're at Apollo Bay for a couple of years, back up to Euroa, up to Myrtleford. And on Sundays, you used to find yourself out fishing. So at Myrtleford, we got dropped off at one end of town and we fished the Ovens River to the other end of town. We'd go 9 o'clock in the morning, Dad would pick us up 5 o'clock at night. You just find a place to go fishing, and always been interested, but because cricket's a summer sport and I don't like fishing when it gets cold, your hands are pretty well tied. We do a trip up to Darwin and been doing it since, 86, 85, Squizz?
Yep.
So just go up, 10 days fishing, and now we go up and fish this Barra Classic on the Daly River. Don't catch anything, but we have a great time.
I mean, you do catch fish sometimes,
Oh,
right?
occasionally. It's not the norm though.
We are the fisher's friend, aren't we?
Yeah.
We are the fisher's friend.
Who's the better fisherman, Squizzy?
There's no doubt about that.
Thanks, Squizz.
The beer drinking goes hand in hand with fishing?
Oh, goes together like peas and carrots, doesn't it?
That's it.
And carrots.
Yeah. Well, you go away for a fishing trip and you have a look at, like we go away for 2 nights and the amount of grog they take. And you say to Squizz, have we got it up? We can always bring it home. We can always bring it. And you think, well, that's a great theory, isn't it? So you never want to run out.
I know he's a cricketing legend and I haven't brought up cricket yet. Just give us a bloody go. You know, he's a childhood hero of mine. Let me figure it out. I'll get onto it.
Beer pioneer.
Back at Valhalla, it's early morning on a weekday, so as per usual when filming the show, time to get stuck into their range of beers.
You're going to take me through some of your beers?
I will.
All right. What do we got?
So we'll start with our Golden Ale, one of our easy drinking beers. Nice and dry and crisp, a little bit of bitterness to it.
Cheers. You're not drinking with me, obviously.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Had to twist your arm. Cheers.
So you get, it's nice and dry and crisp, you get a bit of bitterness to that one. Bit of citrus, mandarin character from the dry hopping. We use Amarillo hops to dry hop that one. 4.6%, so, you know, session style beer.
Yeah, love it. It's, could drink this all day long.
Yeah, that's the plan.
All right,
Nice
great.
summer style beer.
Cut the
Yeah.
cameras. We're going to just... I love the logo for this one. Who put that together?
I do the artwork for most of our beers, yeah, for our labels.
Okay, you got some skills.
Yeah, I was a graphic designer for 15 years before I got into...
Great work. Yeah, this is lovely.
Next up, the Loose Juice Hazy IPA.
So I didn't do the artwork for this one. This was done by local artists. Has a business called KDS Designs. Does custom paint jobs on cars and motorcycles. He's also in a local stoner metal band called Smoke Witch, and he did the
Before you
artwork.
even said stoner metal, I could have told you that looking
Yeah.
at the logo.
So this one's a bit higher in alcohol, 6.7%. It's all about the fruitiness of the hops rather than the bitterness. So we late hop the beer, heaps of hops in it, gives that real tropical fruit character that you're getting.
Yeah, that's yum.
Yeah.
I'm in a hammock somewhere,
Yeah.
sun's shining, waves crashing on the beach,
Absolutely.
getting loose juice.
Getting loose on the
Getting
juice.
loose on the juice. Oh, this is awesome. Could also drink this all day, but that's a bit more
Yeah.
dangerous. Feels like it's science and art sort of meeting together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think craft beer is that exactly. It is science and art. And what I love about putting a bit of time and having a bit of fun with the labels is that craft beer should be an experience, not just the beer itself, but it should be buying the can and the artwork on the label and everything that comes with it. And that's why I love whether we do a jingle for the beer or do a little bit of silly poetry on the side of the can or whatever. It's all part of the experience of drinking.
Multi-sensory experience.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it should be.
You drink with your eyes, right?
Yeah, you pay good money for good craft beer, so you might as well, get the full experience.
It feels like there's some sort of relationship between how you see craft beer and maybe like vinyl.
Yeah.
You get the different colour pressings,
Yeah.
the big artwork on
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That analog experience,
Tactile, touch it,
Yeah.
get your fingers in there,
Yeah.
really experience the
Get
beer.
your nose in there, smell it.
Nose,
mouth
not
feel.
fingers, yeah.
Yeah.
I like this a lot.
Back at the Barwon River, it was here that William Buckley tells tales of spotting several bunyip, or bunyips, whatever the plural is. These mystical creatures were said to lurk near rivers, creeks and other waterholes. Buckley's sightings were frequent, and he was convinced of the creatures' supernatural powers. I've only been here for a couple of hours and all I've spotted is a bloody Hall of Fame cricketing legend, whom it could be said had the supernatural power of delivering a crippling Yorker.
I grew up watching you. You were like the legend of
Oh,
cricket
mate,
team, especially for a Victorian kid.
Yeah,
They didn't let many of us in.
when I grew up, it was Dennis Lilly, Rod Marsh, Ian Chappell, and you look back in the era that I played, and it was just fantastic. And people say, "Oh, you just seem like a bit of a yobbo." So, mate, there's guys like Alan Border and those guys that are great people, and people don't see him as approachable. When I go, "Oh, there's Merv, he's a yobbo, let's go and have a beer." So I got dragged down a lot.
Is that good or bad?
Oh, it's great. It's the support that we got from the general public while you're in the Australian team is fantastic. Playing at the MCG, 60, 70, 80,000 people, the support we got was phenomenal.
Yeah. I remember you got pulled out of retirement and briefly I barracked for Canberra. Just because you were getting around for them.
The Canberra Comets, yeah, had 2 years up there and we played twice against Victoria. Brad Haddon made 200s. So 100 each year. We beat Victoria the 2 years that I played. Couldn't get a game for Victoria, but I could get a game with a team that beat Victoria. So I was pretty happy with that.
I genuinely, it turned me. I was the Canberra guy.
Yeah.
Basically. Fast bowling, that's got to be one of the most brutal things you can do in sport, right? Running in.
Yeah, well...
On your back and your shoulders and your...
As a physiotherapist once said, it's probably the most unnatural thing you do because your momentum's forward, then you're rocking back and twisting, so you problem with your knees, and then later on in your career, you just lose power through your shoulders. Yep. And once you do that, you lose your power into the crease, and just that little bit of pace that makes a difference.
Right. You played 53 tests
53 tests, yeah.
212 wickets.
You're all over it.
It's a handy record.
Yeah,
I think, do you think that sometimes people, because you are like the larrikin yobbo sort of persona, that people forget you're a gun?
Mate, the times that I played, it sort of pales into insignificance when you play with Alan Border that played 140 tests. Matthew Hayden played 100 tests. Warney plays 120 tests, 100 plus test matches. And when you think, oh, I've played 53 tests, you think, oh, that's pretty good. And then but hang on, these guys have played 2 and 3 times more test matches than me. Yeah.
It was all made official recently, though. You're officially a legend now.
Oh, not a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
Look, I've got a bit ahead of myself.
No, mate, absolutely stoked with that. Like I had this beautifully prepared speech. I was saying to people, if I ever get in, when I get inducted, the first thing I'm going to say is, well, it's about fucking time. And then when you get there, you just think it's so inappropriate. And I got inducted at the MCG by Peter King, a bloke I played cricket with, had my family with me. And I'd known about it for 3 months and I thought, oh, the emotions are in check. And then they get you to say a few words and you start thinking about all the people that had helped me throughout my career, and it is quite overwhelming. So got quite emotional, to be honest. It was, yeah. No, it was a huge thrill and a huge buzz.
Oh, that's great.
You have a look at the guys that are in there and you think, gee, I can rubbing shoulders with the absolute greats. So to be recognised by your peers and to be acknowledged like that, mate, just a huge thrill.
Yeah, so good. You are, yeah, you would be a household name.
Only in my house, when there's no one else home.
I was thinking about this. You know, you don't hear of any Mervs or Mervins, and I think it's because you've taken that name for yourself. It's sort of like no one else is called Cher or like Beyonce or something. You know, this is who you are. You've taken it for yourself, and no one else can.
So Squizz,
who wants it?
Squizz, I'm now being compared to Cher and Beyonce. I'll rip her.
Put a ring on it.
Back at Valhalla, it's time I tried Scott's flagship beer that started it all.
So this is Obsidian. This is our black IPA.
So this is the first one.
This is the
so
first
this is the one that's followed you from home brewing all the way to the top
Absolutely,
here.
absolutely. And this is probably the one where the recipe hasn't changed, really, from the homebrew recipe.
Oh, yeah.
So it's probably a bit darker and roastier than a typical black IPA. So in some ways it probably drinks more like a hoppy stout.
Yeah, yeah.
You've got that really roasty, coffee, chocolate character up front from the malts. But then you get a nice sort of citrus smoothness that really smooths it out. And that comes from the hops. So it's hopped like an IPA, but the malt bill's like a stout.
It's a super beer.
Yeah, it gives it a really nice mix and makes it pretty smooth and easy to drink.
You started here.
This is our first one.
Yeah, this is awesome. You don't really see this size of glass anymore.
No. So normally you'd probably get a pot, a schooner and a pint. So we offer a 200ml glass, which is a bit smaller than a pot, so that people can go through the range and try a few different ones.
Oh, you're bringing it back. You're very retro. Vinyl, glasses.
You know what I could go right now? Just a good old-fashioned lime cheesecake sour beer.
So we'll finish off with Lime Bucket, which is our lime cheesecake sour. It'd be a nice way for you to cleanse the palate.
Lime cheesecake sour.
So that one's a bit different to what you've just had.
Yeah.
Very limey, obviously.
It's very limey.
Yeah. We sour the beer in the kettle before we boil it with lactobacillus. which is the active ingredient you find in yogurt, for example, which makes yogurt sour. And then we boil it to kill off the bug, and then we just we ferment it as a normal beer and hop it, dry hop it. We also add lime zest and vanilla to the fermenter as well. There's a bit of lactose in there as well, which gives it that sort of sweet creaminess.
So that gives it the cheesecake, the
Yeah,
vanilla and the lactose.
Yep, gives it
And
a
then the
little bit
lime on top.
Yep, gives that sort of cheesecake. So it's not overly cheesecakey. The lime is quite dominant, but yeah, super refreshing beer,
Yeah.
especially in summer. Great beer to have after you've mowed the lawns.
The lawnmower beer. Might mow them twice a week from now on. Oh, that's yum. Well, that's quite a flavour journey you've taken me on. It's been a real pleasure hanging out with you. Thanks so much for taking me through your beers and your
my pleasure.
beautiful tap room here. I love it. I'm going to get down on one of the metal nights. Looking forward to it.
Great.
Thanks so
You're
much
very
for having me.
welcome. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers.
The Barwon River teems with life. Worms, shrimp, crabs, eel and fish, not to mention abundant local bird life. It was a lifeline and an important food source for so many of the Indigenous people whose land it ran across. It was said that the surrounding river systems were once so full of eel, local tribes could stay fed for months.
So we're following the track of William Buckley, escaped convict, and this
Yep.
was his spot. He'd live off eels from the Barwon.
Barwon River. We don't look like catching anything, do we, Squizz?
Not at the moment.
No.
Squizz, we're really relying on you to.
It's a bit like your William Buckley.
Yeah. We have to wait. We'll have to wait
Buckley's a
30
nun,
years.
mate. Buckley's a bloody nun. We got it though.
So he came over, disappeared, lived off the grid for 30 years.
30 years, yeah, over 30
Eating
years.
eels.
Yeah.
You'd be sick of eels, wouldn't you?
Oh no, I've never had. What's eel like to eat?
On sushi, it's nice.
Right.
No, it's
I wonder
not.
if he
Nothing
was-
like this.
I wonder if he was having it.
So it's a really strong oily. So most guys now, when they catch an eel, you can smoke them. Most people use them for bait, for gummy shark.
Right.
So they're a real oily
Yeah.
thing. So mate, they would have been full of nutrients.
Well, I guess that's the key.
Well,
Probably-
to keep him alive for 30 years, and
Yeah.
you don't get sick of eating them. He's done all right, hasn't he?
You can get eel on the sushi train.
Hey,
You get eel on the sushi train.
good input, Squizz.
It's good.
Maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe he was stopping by the local sushi train.
As hard at work as Merv and I were fishing, it was Squizz that came through in the end.
Oh, Squizz.
Oh,
Squizz.
you know, it's a monster, everyone. Strap me in. World record, a big toady. Look at that.
Honestly,
Hey?
this
How
is
many
gonna
you blokes
happen.
got over there?
Hey?
How many you blokes got over there?
Yeah, but that's not legal.
Not quite enough to live on for 3 decades, but it's something.
See the mood, yeah, really.
Oh.
I mean, that was you did a lot of the work there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Had to
did he?
tell him he was on.
So I'm starting to get a bit nervous that I don't have any bait on my line.
Well, we had a couple of good pulls, I reckon about 15 minutes ago, didn't we? So probably a good idea to check the bait.
All right.
I'm tipping. Oh.
Yep, I had no bait this whole time.
Yeah, just a bit of weed, isn't it?
I've
There
got a
you
bit
go.
of weed.
Well,
Hey?
happy days.
That's
Dry-
actually big. That's bigger than what Squizzy got.
Dry that out.
That's about the right length.
When you cast, all you got to do is hit the water.
Yeah, when you did it before, it looked so elegant. I don't know if I can sort of capture that.
Oh, mate, so that's the mayor's office right there.
Honestly,
Over the top of the hill,
yeah.
and as you bring the rod over, remember,
Gotta pop that over.
hold your finger on that,
Yeah.
so the line's loose.
Okay.
When you flick your rod,
Yeah.
you got to let the line go as it's going.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm clipping this back over
Yeah, but later.
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 Right. That's
Okay,
all
so
in
give
one
yourself a
motion.
bit of a just.
Hold on to the rod though.
Hang
Don't
on
let
to
the
the
rod
rod.
go.
Don't let the rod go.
Yeah, that's all right. Just give it a flick. So
Yeah.
drop it down. As you drop it over,
Yeah.
let it go. Oh, mayor's office, Squizz.
He's a natural.
Oh, he
He's
said
a
he
natural.
doesn't fish.
He is a natural.
Oh man, I felt so much pressure there. So glad I did not choke in front of the great Merv Hughes.
Mate, and then all you do, wind up the slack line,
Yeah.
then we sit down and wait for another 15 minutes.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, how good's that? So we might even have a chance of catching something now we've got bait on the hooks.
It's been a real pleasure hanging out with you two.
Pleasure.
Probably let the cameras piss off and we'll hang out.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, I'm with
without
you.
doubt.
Thank you very much. Thanks for
Happy
having
to
us.
stay here. Thanks
Cheers.
for having us. Good luck with the show. Hope it goes well.
Thank you very much.
Buckley's time among the Wathaurong people was brief by comparison to the tens of thousands of years of history that preceded his arrival. The Barwon River and the surrounding lands have a rich history, and as the sun sets across the riverbanks, it allows for a brief moment of reflection. I'll see you next time.